I work at True Pilates East, and this is sister studio to True Pilates New York, which is the original studio in New York City. It's a fabulous studio with world-renowned instructors, so I definitely feel like I was trained by the best people in the business, and that's why I came here. This studio I feel privileged to work at because it has the good teaching from the West Side, but then it's a beautiful place to work. Being a school teacher was very different. I've always loved teaching my whole life. Like my poor brother, I always wanted to play school. In fact, like I would, always make deals with him. I will play this. I'll play Ninja Turtles with you, but we are going to play school first, and I get to be the teacher, of course, because I'm bigger, I'm older, I'm smarter, blah blah blah. My poor younger brother, and so, going through. I always worked with kids, and then when I was in college, a part-time job, I was teaching swim lessons, another way moving your body, and I loved it. I loved people discovering their bodies, conquering their fears. It was so much fun. So when I went to college, I always wanted to be a teacher, so I decided to become a school teacher. But being a school teacher made me feel happy and fulfilled by helping others, but it left me feeling very empty and I felt beat down a lot. It wasn't as empowering as it should be. And no disrespect to the school system, because it is what it is, and it's this big machine, and there is no perfect world, there is no perfect way. But I was feeling personally that out of my whole day, if you break it down into percentages, out of 100% of a day, the teaching portion of the day was only 12 or 13%. I probably had a to-do list when I was 5 years old going into kindergarten, like what I wanted to achieve that year. So going through life, I'm such a people pleaser, and I feel like a lot of women are stuck in that. We want to make others people around us feel good and give them what they want. And I always wanted to achieve these things. I don't even think for myself, but because I wanted other people to be proud of me. So that kind of builds the story, the backline for what happens next. In being a school teacher, especially where I'm from, that is a good job, It's safe, very safe. You always are needed. But on my to-do list, I think I not consciously, but subconsciously had on there, find the perfect job, buy a house, get married, these types of things, and I did it. And it was just like check, check, check. Not even consciously, but subconsciously. My friends couldn't really relate to it because they experienced breakups, but a divorce is something so much more powerful. Not that I'm discounting any breakups, but literally you made this promise in front of your family, your friends. You think you're going to spend the rest of your life with this person. You build a life with this person. So instead of seeing it, I never felt like a victim. It almost was like through tears and running and Pilates and lots of getting back to me, I realized that, wow, this is a whole new opportunity for me. I can have a life I want to have. I don't have to live my life for other people. It's for me. That doesn't mean be selfish and do whatever the heck you want all the time, but you have to acknowledge yourself. If you don't acknowledge yourself, then you can't be anything for anyone else. That's the bottom line. People hear it all the time. You might read it or say it to your friends, but then to actually listen to that, to think about, wow, you really need to take care of yourself first, is such a powerful thing. I was bartering for Pilates sessions basically. I mean, the woman I started with, a dear friend of mine, lovely woman, her name is Teresa. She's in Virginia Beach if you ever want to go visit her. She has an awesome studio, and she knew I was a school teacher. She knew I loved and adored Pilates, and I was originally thinking I could become certified and just teach like at the gym, like just part-time for the benefit of having a membership there, and then getting a workout myself and making a little extra money, especially in the summertime. But it ended up taking a completely different route. The more I got to learn about it, the more I loved it, and then I said, you know, I really want to get completely certified in this. And I started the certification process dual with the intention of still being a teacher. Then once I really got into it, after I got accepted into the program, I realized that, wow, I can't do both. I had never imagined taking a risk before like that. I mean, sure, I biked across the country. That's a different type of risk, though. A risk that affects your whole life, like something like a career, it was not nurtured or supported by a lot of people in my life. They thought it was such a terrible idea. And I should preface this by saying all the people who said that, who were not supportive of me moving to New York, it was because they cared about me, and that's how they show it. The whole thing, quitting teaching and moving to New York, wow, that was really frowned upon by a lot of my friends, family, coworkers. I mean, again, my mom loves me probably more than any person in the whole world. She was not happy. She was so upset with me quitting teaching. I mean, I think she thought I was running away from my problems. It was really hard for me to vocalize to her that I needed to find myself without anyone else. I needed to find me. What makes me happy without the influence of others? Getting used to this paycheck and benefits that came with the school teaching position, this safe position, pension, to Pilates instructor where you're an independent contractor and, you know, you're not guaranteed anything. Your clients could all cancel one week and you could have no paycheck that week. Even though it's dangerous, how freeing it is. Quitting teaching, resigning from teaching was one of the hardest things I ever had to do because I felt really selfish. I was a good school teacher. I loved my students, and I think all of them could say I definitely poured my heart and soul into it. I adored them. But if I had continued to be a teacher any longer, I think my teaching would have had to sacrifice for it. And that, to me, was not acceptable. Pilates can be expensive, and the program is expensive, and so I had to make it work for me. I had a friend who introduced me to a family that I could help out with, and I helped out with their 2 teenage children. Great opportunity. Made me realize I did not want to live in this part of Connecticut. It just wasn't for me, but I love the family, and I'm appreciative of them because I had a place I could live rent-free. And then at the time, I also waited tables at this little Italian restaurant in the community, and then I was working as a Pilates instructor or a Pilates manager at this lovely studio in Fairfield, Connecticut. And I was also taking the train 2 to 3 days a week to come and do my training in the city. But then once my training program really took off and I was more than halfway through, things started being able to slow down. I was able to give up the things I didn't need. You know, sometimes you have to just find vehicles to get you there, and then you can give them up. Like I didn't need to do the waitressing job anymore. I got rid of that. And then once I really got off the ground, my feet off the ground, I was able to get a job in New York too. So I was commuting to and from New York and Connecticut for a while. I moved out with the family I lived with and worked with for a while, and got my own apartment and with roommates, and really got to have the New York City experience. I mean, my roommate situation is kind of like a sitcom. It's awesome. I love it. When I started finding the passion for Pilates, that I realized that, wow, this is giving me everything I want. I get to teach, I get to help people, I get to make people feel good and achieve what they want to achieve. it crowded out everything else because it gave me exactly what I wanted. It let me, I feel passionate about my job. I never wake up in the morning and say, I don't want to go to work today. Of course I wake up in the morning and say, oh man, I'm tired. You know, everyone gets tired, but there were days before and I just wasn't even aware. I would wake up in the morning and have an elephant sitting on my chest. Not because I didn't want to go and see the precious faces of the babes I taught, but because I wasn't fully fulfilled by my job. And my job now, like I said, every person is a new puzzle. I get to solve this puzzle. And I am constantly being challenged too, because guess what? If I don't give them a good workout, they're not going to come back to me. It's not safe in that way. And sometimes not being safe makes you feel alive. And I'm not talking about like jumping off a building, like doing something crazy, but being too comfortable in life with things, you feel like you're not even living anymore. And I'm not saying my way is not the right way for everyone, the choices I made and what works for me, but I wasn't listening to that inner self, the one that's saying, wow, you shouldn't wake up feeling like you have an elephant on your chest. You should wake up feeling excited about your day. And I do now. And it's, of course, my life isn't perfect. It never will be. And I think the day I stop wanting to learn and grow, I'm going to die. Because, I mean, you have to live life that way, wanting to learn and grow and be better at what you do.